Rachel found the apartment, the rent fit her budget, and she was about to pay the application fee. Here's the move. Before paying anything, ask in writing for the total monthly leasing price on that exact unit. Base rent, every mandatory recurring fee, every one-time move-in charge, and which of those she gets back. That's the real rent. The listing's number usually isn't. When the FTC took action against Invitation Homes in 2024, it alleged the advertised rates left out mandatory junk fees that could total more than $1,700 a year. Regulators alleged renters paid non-refundable fees on an advertised rate that left those mandatory fees out. One line in how this is built keeps it legal, and most people never find it. Here's how a price the company already knows ends up where you can't see it. It starts with the listing. It leads with base rent, one clean number, and that's the number you use to line one apartment up against another. It feels like the price. It's really the setup for a comparison that isn't fair yet, because the place next door may be hiding different fees behind the same kind of clean number. So you do what the system asks. You spend the time, you tour the unit, you hand over your income, your ID, your rental history. Maybe you put down a holding deposit to take it off the market. Maybe you pay an application fee just to be considered. The FTC notes one source found the average renter submits 2 applications, with a median application fee of $50 each, $100 spent before anyone has shown you the real monthly price. And then the fees arrive. Trash, pest control, package handling, smart home tech, utility administration, insurance verification, amenities, payment processing, a fee to pay your rent. The FTC's own list of mandatory rental fees runs through more than a dozen categories, from maintenance and parking to air filter charges. Apartments.com reports renters pay roughly 2 to 6% more each month in fees, on an average rent of $1,638, that's $32 to $98 a month, around $65 on average, or $780 over a year. More than 70% of renters, the FTC says, reported paying at least one mandatory fee on top of rent. None of this is the rent you compared. All of it is the rent you'd pay. And these aren't one-time charges. The landlord collects base rent plus those fees every month for the life of the lease, so that $65 monthly average isn't $65. It's 65 times 12, times however many years you stay. Small per month is the whole point. Small per month is what survives the comparison and then disappears into the budget. So let's do the math. When the FTC took action against Invitation Homes in 2024, it alleged the company advertised monthly rates that left out mandatory junk fees that could total more than $1,700 a year. The FTC also alleged renters paid non-refundable application fees of up to $55 and reservation fees of up to $500, all based on the advertised rate, the one that allegedly wasn't the real one, $1,700, not on a luxury upgrade you picked, on the gap between the number you compared and the number you'd actually owe. Here's what most people don't realize. The problem isn't that fees exist. Fees can be perfectly legal, properly disclosed, allowed under state and local law. The problem is where the price lives. The full price can be completely knowable to the company and still not appear where you make the decision. And this is where it stops looking like an accident and starts looking like the design. In the case the FTC and Colorado brought against Greystar, by the FTC's account the country's largest apartment manager, regulators alleged renters sometimes couldn't learn the fees until after they'd filled out personal information forms, clicked through small print links, paid application fees, put down holding deposits, or reached deep inside a 40 to 60-page lease. Even though the complaint alleged the company knew which fees applied to the unit the whole time. The information existed. It just wasn't where you needed it. That's the part that reframes everything. You weren't bad at budgeting. You were budgeting from the wrong number, and the right number sat inside a system that didn't surface it until you'd already spent money to reach it. The complexity isn't a bug. A 40-page lease, a fee disclosed on the first bill instead of the first page, an application charge paid before the total is shown, each one moves the real price one more step from the moment you decide. The FTC notes these mandatory charges are often disclosed only at lease signing or on the first bill, after you've already paid to apply or already packed to move. And by then, walking away has a price too. If you discover the real number after paying a non-refundable application or holding fee, that money may already be gone. The FTC alleged exactly that happened to renters in both the Invitation Homes and Greystar cases. And the renters who lose the most here are usually the ones with the least room to absorb it. The people applying to several places at $50 a time, choosing on the tightest margin, where $1,700 a year isn't an annoyance, it's whether the apartment was ever affordable at all. Both companies have since agreed to settle. Greystar agreed to pay $23 million to the FTC and $1 million to Colorado to resolve the charges, while the proposed order requires it to clearly display total monthly leasing prices and the mandatory fees, and to spell out fee details, amount, purpose, whether it's mandatory shut, before taking any payment. Invitation Homes agreed to a proposed settlement requiring $48 million for consumer refunds and clearer leasing price disclosures. Two settlements, one shared remedy, just show the whole price up front, which raises the obvious question. If showing the whole price is the fix, why was showing the smaller one allowed in the first place? That comes down to a single line. Here's the line that keeps the smaller number legal almost everywhere else. The FTC's general junk fee rule took effect in May 2025, but it covers live event tickets and short-term lodging. FTC staff's own FAQ lists long-term rental housing, the kind with an ongoing landlord-tenant relationship. As an example, the rule does not cover. In March 2026, the FTC proposed starting a separate rulemaking aimed specifically at rental housing fees, which tells you this one isn't settled. So unless a state or local rule, a court order, or a specific settlement applies, a listing can still show you base rent first and the mandatory fees later. They didn't break the law. In this corner of it, they wrote it. Which is exactly why the move belongs to you. Before you spend $1. Before any application fee or holding deposit, ask in writing. Send me the total monthly leasing price for this exact unit and lease term, base rent, every mandatory recurring fee, variable utilities, optional add-ons, and every one-time move-in charge, and mark each one refundable or non-refundable. Then compare only all-in numbers. If a listing shows a total monthly price, use it. Some platforms have started doing this for you. Zillow now flags a total monthly price that bundles base rent with the fixed required monthly fees. And Apartments.com describes all-in pricing as a listing that shows the full cost, rent plus the non-optional fees. Treat a badge like that as a starting point, not a guarantee. Nothing is locked until the lease is signed, so still ask for the written breakdown. And if a listing only says fees may apply, get that fee list first, or skip the application. The $1,700 doesn't vanish because you asked, but for the first time, it's a number you can see before it's a number you owe. So before Rachel pays to be considered, before you do, there's one question left worth asking. If the real price was knowable the whole time, why does the listing get to show you anything else? Tell me in the comments, has a fees may apply ever turned out to be the most important line in the listing?